Good morning. So we are actually caffeine members ourselves. My husband and I run a human resources consulting business, so we know what it means to really have to manage people. And when employees join your organizations, very often they're joining because of you, the business owner, and they're intrigued by you. But very soon as your business grows, you don't often still remain to be their boss or their direct manager. And you're passing on those management skills and those abilities to the next level manager. So in my time with you, I really want to talk to you about the critical role the direct manager plays. And if it's not you anymore with your employees, consider this little talk a warning. Make sure that you're really considering your direct managers, because ensuring the employee feels that they have a great manager is the stickiness factor we're talking about. And I will, in time, get to the 5 key strategies to overcome those challenges. So you may not believe this, but the number one reason people say why they leave their jobs when asked is not their paychecks. It's their supervisors. It's those people who have direct line to those employees and the work that they do. So what percentage do you think actually say when they're in those exit interviews, why are you leaving our company? Why are you leaving us? 71% say it's because of their relationship with their direct manager. That's pretty high. It's pretty high. 71% people say it's not the company. It's who's managing me. It's my relationship with my supervisor. And how are they generally feeling about those managers? Not a pretty picture, not a pretty picture. They say that their managers treat them like children. Big percentage says they feel like they're really being treated like children. They're not being respected by their managers. And lastly, they don't know what's expected of them. And we all feel the pain. We all feel overloaded. So it's not that our business, because we're in human resources, is perfect. We have our employees telling us, what do you want from me this week? What's expected of me? So that's another critical challenge that people are having. So why is it so difficult to manage people? We have a friend in the fast food business, and he always tells us, the hamburgers don't give me problems. It's the people. It's the people that give them the problems. And why is it hard? Because people aren't easy. It's difficult managing people. It's not an easy job. And sometimes we promote people to be leaders. They don't even maybe like people. But we said, you've been with the company for 10 years. Now it's your job to run that crew or to lead that group. But they don't even know how to lead people. And the last one is maybe you've never had any good role models of managing people in your life. I've been teaching leadership for close to 20 years, and I always ask people, think of the best leader you've had. Do you have any role models around you? They're kind of scratching their heads, and they're thinking, well, it's been a while since I've had actually a good role model. So you want to think about those are the challenges that people are having who are managing leaders today. So where are managers missing the mark? Why are we, and if you're still the direct line to managing your people, where are you missing the mark? Well, we assume everyone's motivated the same way. You hear a little bit of complaining, the engagement's starting to drop, you think, I'll give them a raise. Well, we're going to find out in a moment, money is not always the motivator. It's typically not the number one motivator. The other thing is we paint everyone the same. Johnny likes the same as Sally, Sally likes the same as Mark, and not getting to know your people individually, what each individual employee needs and what they want. And there's a lot of things you can do to really get one-on-one with your people, to don't paint them all the same way. And then lastly, we trust that everyone learns the same way. Put everyone in a classroom and they'll all get what they need. You have to think about coaching, classrooms, webinars, one-on-one, executive coaches, whatever it takes to keep the talent. Because we know the ones who leave are not the ones who you want to leave. The ones who are grumbling at the bottom are the ones who just continue to stay, so you have to kind of get rid of them, versus the ones at the top are the ones who are walking out the door. So make sure you understand what is it, how they learn and what motivates them. So consider to yourself, I want you to think, what am I doing now? How am I running into some challenges in managing my people? How could I be better at managing my people? So great managers, they build employee engagement. They get close to their people. When you ask them, what do you think about your organization? They may say, I like the organization, but more what I want to hear is, I love my boss. I love my leaders. I am inspired by my leaders. That's going to have them stay and stick. So when we talk about employee engagement, these are the trigger words you're going to hear about. And when you do surveys and things like that, these are the words you're going to hear. An emotional connection to the work that I do. They go the extra mile. They give that extra effort. They have a willingness and ability to want to give to your company. They have a sense of belonging. They talk about your businesses like it's their own. And very often my husband and I, it's blood, sweat, and tears you put into your business as an entrepreneur and as a family-run business. And you expect your employees to have that same love of your business. But it's not their business, it's probably your business. So how do you get your employees to have that same level of commitment for your business that you have? And engagement is critical. So you want them saying things like, I feel highly committed to my business, to this company. I love what I do every day. I'm fascinated by the work we do. We've heard some great speakers already this morning. Interesting organizations. When I go around and ask those employees, you want them to feel fascinated about what they do every day. So if you're still not bought into why you got to take this seriously, there are some real statistics out there. We know that businesses grow 20% faster when there's high levels of engagement. We know that turnover can drop as much as 87% of people who say, I quit, I'm out of here. So and we know turnover is expensive. We just heard from a recruiter. So we know that people having to keep having to bring in talent, it gets expensive. And then also profits. Companies who invest in employee engagement see their profits grow 3 times as much. So there's lots of ways you can go out there and measure the engagement within your companies right now. Gallup did a study, a very large study across the world, and they asked 12 key driving questions. And just 3 of the top ones that really come home for me are the things about, do I know what's expected of me every day? Or am I the guy who's coming to work every day scratching my head and don't know which direction I'm going in? That really drops employee engagement. The other thing is, are there opportunities for myself to grow and learn every day? People feel there's opportunity in their businesses, they're going to stay. That will keep your employees. And lastly, does someone tell me often, am I recognized for the good work I do? And not once a year at a performance review time, but it actually asks on a weekly basis. Within the last 7 days, have you been told you've done something really well? And be specific. So the 5 key elements to overcoming engagement, I want to talk about each of these quickly. The first one, creating a value-based organization, establishing trust with your employee base, focusing on your employees' strengths, not trying to catch them doing things wrong, understand what motivates them, and recognize them for a job well done. So when I talk about a values-based organization, it's that iceberg model. It's what's really going on under the surface. You can put on a nice dog and pony show in the recruitment process, but when they get in there and they get to feel what really goes on in the company, those values are values that your company lives by. You can only invite it. You can't command those values for someone to instill those values within someone. So you want to really engage the whole person, that people live the values of your company. So values-based organizations, you'll often hear these people, they live it in their hearts and their minds. Our values are within our people. So that's one of the first things I'd say is build that values-based organization. Spend time talking about your values. The second one is trust. Trust is the glue. Trust is the glue. You've got to spend time with your people in order to build trust. So really think about, what are we doing to build trust with our employee group? I call these the stop, starts, and continues. It's what are you going to do? And stop doing this, because it's a trust breaker. It's breaking trust. I give work to you, and then I keep looking over your shoulder, and I don't really trust that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. That's a trust breaker. Stop doing that. It doesn't work. Continue in the middle. Continue doing what you're doing really well, spending time with your people. And then the start doing things, because it's going to build trust, is I would say get out there and get to know people. Spend time with them. Find out what they do when they're not at work. Those kind of things build trust. The third thing is strengths. Focus on people's strengths. One of the great questions I love, if you want to read some more books from Marcus Buckingham, he's got some great stuff in this area. He talks about, and it's also in the Harvard Business Review, what great managers do. Ask people, what was the best day you've had in the past 3 months at work? Find out, and I bet you any money it's going to be stuff that was their strength, things they love to do. It's not going to be what they didn't love to do. You'll find out what people love to do when you ask them, what was the best day that you had at work in the past 3 months? So that's how you get at strengths. When you look at Shaquille O'Neal, you wonder, what did you got a basketball picture up there for? Well, they brought him on an NBA team. He actually is the worst free throw shooter in history, I think, of NBA. Pretty bad at the line. But they know what he's good at. They know he's good under the basket. He's got size. So when you bring people onto your teams, you got to think about, what are they good at? How can I leverage their strengths versus just put them in places where it's really not what they're great at? And the saddest thing of all this research is when they looked at this, people said they only got to bring 20% of what they do best to work every day. Can you imagine if you looked at your employee base and you knew that they had another 80% they could bring to work, but they don't bring it because they don't get to do what they do best every day? They don't get to focus on their strengths. So that was another statistic that was quite alarming. And then if you want to get at the undertones of what they really don't like to do, You can ask them, what was the worst day you ever had at work? And you'll find out, don't make them do that every day. Don't make them come to work every day and do that, because they'll be disengaged. The fourth element around motivation, I bet you'd be very surprised when you go out and you ask these questions. What motivates you? What demotivates you? And find out, are your answers correct? Is what you believe motivates your employees? Many studies being done. We know the number 1, 2, and 3 are typically recognition, being in on things, being in the loop, being appreciated for job well done, and money and promotion, those are about 5th or 6th. They're not the 1, 2, or 3. So go out and ask people, what motivates you? What gets you excited every day? How can I motivate you different than you, and you? And the last one of the 5 is recognize efforts. And link them back to those values. Link them back to the values. What does this organization value? And because I value teamwork, I want to recognize you for the work you just did in that teamwork, that team project that you just did. Recognize people for living the values, and they don't have to be big amounts. It could be a thank you note. It could be an email. It can be gift cards to their favorite place. It doesn't have to be big. So my final thoughts to you is really spend time understanding the individuality of your people. Make sure they know the direction that they're supposed to be going, that they know what's expected of them, that they have some direction. And lastly, invest time. Invest time. And when we're running our own businesses, and we're working with other family members, and we've got lots of challenges on our plate, it's hard to give people time. And I can't tell you how important it is to invest time to really increase your employee engagement. So thank you very much. Have a great day.